Hello, and welcome to episode 66, Mario Lemieux episode of Spreading the Nerd. I am your host today, Rick, and with me is my new co-host, Nick. How we doing today, sir?
I really can't complain. It's been a interesting day. I'm kind of having a stag weekend. My wife is out of town visiting the in-laws, so I got to game before 9 o'clock, and it's been a wonderful experience, And it's
Mm-hmm.
Friday, so it's
That
been pretty
explains the game you were telling me that you bought before we started here.
good.
So before we get into it, you may notice that our compadre, Clint, is not here. He has a bit of a personal thing going on. It's not our story to tell, so I will let him decide whether he wants to go into details or not. But I will say, everybody listening, keep him in your thoughts. We're pulling for him here, so. But that's all I have to say on that. So I guess we could jump right into it. There's not really much in the way of news or anything like that to talk about, so I think the plan anyway was just kind of the bullshit and talk about updates and whatever. You can see the thumbnail that he made is about Starfield, so we'll obviously get to that. But what have you been playing, Nick?
A lot of different stuff this week. It's been kind of a weird week. I started off the week by jumping into Gray Zone Warfare. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
I am, because Ellery was talking to us in the Discord, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
About the weird arm with the C-clamp grip.
Yes, and it looks even weirder when you're playing because it's like the elbow is constantly out and you can just see the arm, like not the elbow. It's weird, but it's really enjoyable. I kind of jumped into it because it was in the point last year when I was kind of looking into extraction shooters, and this kind of came out of the blue. People were pretty excited about it, but it was kind of a little rough around the edges. What's interesting about it is the whole idea is it's less extraction shooter, though it's got a lot of the sensibilities, this extraction, survival, hardcore stuff to it. But, excuse me, it's supposed to be like a open world more type. Like it's a massive map. You go around, you can do a lot of different missions. You don't have to extract to complete a mission. Like you can just turn them in. At the time, you could unlock forward operating bases. You could turn them in there. It kind of got you all over the place. It was really interesting. A little wonky, janky at times, but really it wasn't bad. I think I paid like $25 for it at the time. They've had a couple updates. I think my biggest criticism at the time was that you could go from your AI wouldn't see you at all, or you'd be in a bush and just trying to scope out the town, and all of a sudden you get two-shot headshot and you're dead. Like, and it's like, how did they even see you? You were being stealthy, no flashlight, no nothing. Now they've done a lot of updates. I think there've been 2 or 3 more updates that definitely streamlined everything. Now you don't even have to go to forward operating bases to turn in your mission, so you can just kind of keep boom, 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 stay out in the world. Make sure you obviously still want to be keeping drinking, eating your food, or else you run out of your energy and stuff like that. But I think that they pulled back the AI a bit too much. It's way easier. I mean, at points there was times where I was looting and I didn't realize I hadn't gotten everyone. And then all of a sudden I came to and a guy was unloading on me and I didn't die. So that was a little weird. They probably pulled it back a little bit too far. So hopefully they bounce it back, but overall not too bad.
Doesn't it attempt to be kind of a milsim thing?
That's the whole thing behind it. Like, you've got the whole idea, like you don't have an ammo counter. You've got to pull the gun to the side and it pulls the magazine out and it tells you how many bullets are left. When you're swapping out magazines, you're actually swapping out the magazine. If you want to reload your magazine, you actually got to put your actual bullets inside of it. You can't manually load bullets in without the magazine type situation. So it kind of goes for realism for the most part. Like you have, I don't know, 6 or 7 different types of medicine depending upon the type of injuries that you have, which does make it a little confusing at first because they're not the best about onboarding. So you kind of have to FAFO essentially on that. Waste a lot of meds, so it is what it is. But I like it. It's been pretty interesting. It's coming along pretty well. They're still not the 0.4, I think. So they still got a little.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it's still early access, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been pretty good though.
I saw it was described as PvPvE. Is that accurate?
So there's 2 modes essentially. Okay. There is the server side for the PvE only. Though you still pick factions, so that kind of I don't know if you can still run into the other side. I'm still kind of basically in the starting area after my 2 or 3 hours since the new update.
Mhm.
And the map is massive. I still haven't been able to make it across like the far other side or even the middle of the map, honestly. But once you start going in, they have a PvE, PvP, or whatever.
PvPvE.
Thank you, thank you. So in that one, the factions actually matter because there's 3 starting bases depending upon the faction you're with, and once you get closer to the middle, that's where the lucrative loot and missions are. But then also you're more likely to run into the enemy there, and
Mhm.
it's not just the
Mhm.
AI. You also have to worry about them. But I
Right.
haven't really jumped in on that side. So they really seem to be putting, I don't know, judging by the comments on Reddit and on Steam, they seem to be focusing more the PvE side because they probably figure that everyone's got the other type of stuff on lockdown. They're just trying to carve out their own lane, but they do offer that option for those of the people that want to jump in that way.
Yeah,
And
that's
like I
cool.
said,
The PvP, I guess, part of it was kind of what turned me off. I was hoping it was something more akin to like an Arma or an Operation Flashpoint or something like that. I mean, I think Tarkov is absolutely brilliant, but it is also, I mean, it's outright impossible. I mean, it's pretty much known for having the most un-newbie friendly sequence there is, because if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, you're just meat for everybody else playing the game.
yep.
But I like milsim stuff, and there's really a surprising like small amount of it, which is weird because if done right, the old Operation Flashpoints and specifically the Arma games, they do well. They especially on PC, they really sell very well, but nobody seems to try to make them for some reason.
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like there's been a resurgence with this stuff lately.
It's coming back. I mean, obviously, another thing that came out earlier this week was, we were both talking about it slightly. Uh, what's up, Clutch? The
Much.
early access launch of Road to Vostok came out on, I believe it was Tuesday. Is that right?
Sounds about
Um,
right. Yeah.
and kind of this. I mean, it's not a mill sim, but it's Tarkov without the multiplayer, basically. Um, and what little I played, I mean, there's a lot of learning involved for sure, but I actually think it's pretty damn impressive, especially considering one guy did the vast majority of the work on that game. Um, for those who don't know, I forget his name's like Auntie or something like that. He was he's someone who was in the Finnish. He was a Finnish officer in the military, and kind of decided that he did not want to do that any longer. So he left with the intent of making this game, and I think I heard he like sold his car to make sure he had enough money and stuff like that.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
yeah, because this game is as indie as you can get. There is zero funding outside of the people buying it, as well as his own personal funding. But that also, he obviously had experience with many of these different firearms. I assume. He explained in this video that where the game takes place, which is kind of at a border town between um, uh, eastern Finland and western Russia. So that's what Vostok is. It's like a border city. He explained that like this is where he grew up. So some of these abandoned areas are actually like things that are in the game and stuff, in real life, I mean, and stuff like that. But I assume that he probably has personal experience with a fair number of these guns, which is why I had followed him on Twitter when I had seen this game on like a gaming bolt video or something like that. And when I saw him, like, man, this is a dude who, number one, is very passionate about this game, and number two, is obsessive about like the authenticity for the guns. Like he would talk about every new animation that he would make for something simple. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, you can slide the scope forward and backward on the rail, which does affect how you see things. It affects the magnification and stuff like that.
I do have to come for him a little bit. Now,
Uh-oh.
part of it is his because it's realism. Fair disclosure, I played a little bit, played about 50 minutes. I jumped in, I skipped the tutorial, and I skipped the opening animation. I just jumped right into it, right? Because usually they're supposed to be fairly intuitive.
No, it's not.
I
Yeah,
can't. You would think between that and being able to look at your controls, I had to look up a YouTube video how to load a shotgun. Don't get me wrong, it is awesome. It is awesome the way they handle that, and I mean incredibly detailed. But I had to look up a YouTube video how to load the shotgun.
I would imagine you probably have to load it shell by shell, right?
Well, you have to. Okay.
Or
You
at least
have
maybe you have to load one by manually.
no. Okay,
No?
so normally R is your reload, right? Except for when it's
Reload a magazine. It's not reload. Yeah, it's just like you
yeah,
mentioned with Gray Zone.
you have to hold control and then it cocks the shotgun to the side,
Okay. Okay.
and then you click your what would normally be the fire button, and you just load in shell after shell
Okay.
after shell. And then when you're actually using it, R
You have to actually pump
cocks
it.
the gun. Yeah, is the pump to, and it was like
That's
it took
awesome.
me. I almost died. Like to a couple of guys. First they're yelling gibberish at me, and then I'm like, the shotgun. I'm trying to like drag it over. What's going on? I'm hitting R. Nothing's happening, and I'm like, I guess I got to YouTube it. But I mean, it was really cool. I've never seen a
Yeah.
game do that before.
Yeah. Well, so the tutorial in it is not really a tutorial. It's more of a training area where you're in like a, I don't know, like a high school like basketball court, and then along the wall there's like these signs telling you, just kind of reading things off, and it gives you kind of a shooting range to just kind of get a feel for the guns and kind of somewhat learn your controls, but nothing particularly like advanced. So there are still things that like I see, like there's a button to actually inspect the gun, and I know how to do that. Somehow you can actually flip it around and look at it, and I can't figure out how to do it. I can figure out how to bring the gun up to look at it. I cannot figure out how to like twist it around and look at it and stuff like that. It just as an example.
Detail.
It's incredible. They're probably the best gun models I've ever seen in a game.
Well, it's not just that, but like all the different stats they got going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that you can either leave the gun down or raised up, and then when it's raised up, you have a stamina bar for how long you can keep it up in the ready position.
I did not notice
before you
that,
start
actually.
getting wobbly and you got to drop it back down.
I did not notice that. I noticed you could raise it or lower it. I did not notice the stamina bar though.
Yeah. Which makes sense because you ever go hunting with a long rifle or anything like that, that after a while holding it up in that ready position, it gets heavy for a while.
Yep. And it does have the ability to aim it canted. So, you know, instead of looking down sights, you're aiming, you know, like they do in like military and stuff like that. Which I when Ready or Not came out, I remember it was one of the first games I've seen that lets you do that. And I remember reading reviews like, I don't know why you would do that. And I'm like, because you can see way better. That's the whole point. Like, Ready or Not, it doesn't make a ton of difference because you're typically in fairly close quarters in a lot of cases in that game. In this, it makes a big difference because you are in an open environment all the time. So you have better environmental awareness, but obviously you lose a fair amount of accuracy too, since you're not looking down the sights. But no, it's very impressive. It is pretty remarkable that one guy made this. I mean, he had some contractor help, but he did do the vast majority of it himself. And in the release video, he did go into it to say like he has. If you notice in the game, there's the roadmaps in the game.
Okay.
The 1 year roadmap or whatever. I believe he has said already the game has done well enough to fund the year of development for it, which is awesome.
Yep, I did see that.
Which is really cool to see. Like, it's good to see people kind of come out and support something like that. He also said that he had numerous offers for publishing and stuff like that. And he said some were really tempting, but he opted to stay completely independent because he maintained control of the IP that way, and he maintained control of what he can do and stuff like that. And it's like, man, it's pretty hard not to respect that. Like, the dude had a bag handed to him, and he turned it down because he was that passionate. But that said, he's still looking to make money. I mean, it still has become his job essentially to make this game. But you can see, like, he didn't just crap something out with the intention of trying to collect a quick buck. Like, he wanted to make a good game. Like, it's pretty clear.
The bones are there.
About this. Yeah,
the bones are absolutely there. I guarantee if you little rough, kind of reminds me of some of the older computer games I used to play as far as like visual wise, but like the mechanics are just like I mentioned, the shotgun having to load the individual shells and then another button to rack it. It's phenomenal.
So something interesting about it too, and I didn't even know this actually until the day it came out. Maybe the day before, I can't remember. This game actually was on Unity until Unity pulled that shit. Was it about a year and a half ago, 2 years? pulled it off of Unity because he knew it was going to sell well, and he didn't want to. You remember they wanted to charge extra per like, however it worked. Like they were going to start charging use for the engine based on installs or something weird like that. So he pulled it off of that and switched to, I don't remember what engine it's on now, but he basically yanked it off of the engine and switched it to a whole new engine. And again, he did this all by himself. It's like that is genuinely incredible that he's managed to. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I told you in Discord, Silken, it be proud because this is about as indie of a game as you can get. It might not look like it when you compare what you think of as a typical indie game, but it is definitively indie. 100% grassroots.
If you get a chance, Road to Vostok, it's like $15 right now. They've got a demo on it to try out. I would at least try it out and just check to see what's there, because it's even for the $15, it's pretty impressive, and it's only going to get better down the road.
And I told you guys when I bought it, I'm like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's charging enough. I think 15, even 20, which is the real price, I think that's massively undervaluing what this actually is. I'm not saying you can charge 70, but he could have charged 40 easily. He could have charged 40 for this. Maybe not in its current state, but the final version, 100%. Yes, it's still early access. That is right.
Yeah, and he might not make it there, but the bones are really good for where he's at right now. So I'm pretty confident he'll do pretty good with that.
Yeah, it is an impressive start, and it has. I mean, it has a fan. Like when I was watching that live, it wasn't really a live stream, but it was premiering live of the release. I was surprised that people were actually watching it. I didn't think that many people even knew about the game, but I guess it was like the 50th most wishlisted game on Steam or something like that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which is actually pretty remarkable when you consider what it is. It's kind of a niche title, right? But so he seems like he's doing pretty good for himself, and I'm excited to see where it gets, within the next year, see what happens. And the whole idea of Vostok being a permadeath zone is actually kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I didn't even really fully get to mess with the full day and night. I think I went through, I checked a bunch of buildings, and I don't know, there was a mission for the day trader that I'm supposed to be getting some toilet paper. I couldn't find toilet paper anywhere. And ended up I put about an hour in, and I had to go get dinner. So it's just like, well, I'm going to call it right here.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I know now where the trader is, so I can go run some missions for him. But I didn't know it at the time. I was just kind of wandering around, and a bandit came out of a house. And at first, I wasn't sure if it was a bandit. I didn't know if there were like non-aggressive AI. So I kind of waited, and he started popping me a couple times with his AK-74 or whatever they call it in this. So I ended up taking him down, but I was pretty low on health. I want to say like 14 health. And I did not have med packs or whatever it was called.
You didn't start with any?
Not med packs. You started with bandages or something, I think.
Bandages, yeah. Should have got 20 or 30.
Oh, I thought that was only for healing like cuts, so I didn't even try to use it.
Okay.
Anyway, but I started to find some stuff. I found some other gun. I don't remember what it was. I didn't have a magazine for it, so I had ammo for it, but I didn't have a magazine, so I couldn't do anything with it. But then the very next guy,
3 guns I found that way too.
The very next guy I saw got me. I was like, son of a bitch. But yeah, so very 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 interesting start. Very very cool. Definitely, if you like milsim stuff or always like the idea of Tarkov, but maybe didn't like the idea of just being, fodder for the people who know what they're doing, give this a look. It might be kind of up your alley, because that's more or less what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I guess I'll just talk about it now. The update on the same day actually for Starfield came out, adding Terran Armada DLC, which I have not done yet. Although I do have access to it. I heard on the whatever they call the SSN or whatever it is, the news network that's in the game. I did hear the news report that allowed me to go do this mission. But despite what I said, I did end up restarting the game one more time. It's not happening again. This will be my final restart. I'm tired of restarting it over and over again. But I do like it. The actual far lanes thing doesn't change a lot. It just makes that you're not jumping into the map to fast travel to different planets and stuff like that within the system. You're just kind of traveling there naturally. It adds other stuff too, but I haven't really encountered any of that yet. But I had mentioned to you before we got here that I kind of was Castle, that I was kind of tweaking some things, and I got it to a point where I kind of like it now. Additionally, I know this is a bit of a contentious point. I have purchased a couple of the paid creations. Not the well, I did get the Trackers Alliance, whatever it is, by Bethesda, but most of them were actually third-party ones. But they were like verified ones, so they were higher quality ones, you know. But they added things specifically that I kind of was bummed out were missing. One of which being a more tuned survival mode. So in Starfield, Bethesda did add the ability to turn on that after 30 minutes or whatever you get hungry or thirsty. However, they didn't do it like, even though I don't like it, I actually like the way that the survival system worked in like Fallout 4, for example, where it'll have like gradients to it, right? As well as getting tired and stuff like that. Here it's all or nothing. You either get hungry and then you have the whatever the penalty is, say it lowers your carrying capacity or whatever. And then you just, whatever one item you have, you drink, and it gives you 30 minutes of hydrated, for example, right? Whereas in Fallout, it was more like, okay, you have, like I said, grades of it. You'll be peckish, and then thirsty, and then dehydrated, I assume is probably the next one. And the penalty gets more and more severe. And I always liked that, because it kind of made it more like you were exploring and had to really kind of be careful what you were doing, right? And also, actually, Starfield did not even have a, like, being tired mechanic at all. So I bought, it's called the Darkest Sea or whatever they refer to space in Starfield as, that's what it's called. But it does add a more proper survivalist system, which is all that stuff, as well as being tired. And it was like, I don't know, 300 credits, which is like $3, so that wasn't bad. And the other one I got, which was also 300 credits, and this is kind of cool because it does kind of change how you play a little bit. It's called Real Fuel. And it makes it that in order to use you have played Starfield, correct? I know you said you didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I basically got to the first planet and ran around all over and kept trying to steal other people's starships.
Like Jemison, you mean, or which planet?
It was
the main
random. City? It was just like some random planet that I ended
up.
Oh,
okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. So basically, what Real Fuel does is it adds it that in the Starfield lore, the ships use helium-3 as fuel, you know, and when you build your starship, you even have to pick like the fuel thing, which allows you to pick how far you can jump between the different systems. However, it's kind of silly because in reality, if you can't make the jump to the system you're trying to go to, you just jump to something closer and then jump to it anyway. So it really didn't make a difference. This actually makes it now that you have to either find, loot, steal, whatever, or mine, you can do that as well, helium-3, in order to gravity jump. So it makes you play a little bit smarter. And then both of these have, various options that you can pick how severe the penalties are and stuff like that. This one even has the ability to make, I forget what it's called. It's a setting where it kind of does limit when you grav jump, you might not be able to do it right away without damaging your ship. So kind of like, again, it's kind of creating that whole like space explorer fantasy for me, which is what I always liked about Starfield, even though it was not fully realized. These two things together, as well as the Freelance update itself, do actually kind of add what was missing for me in a lot of ways. Like it kind of makes me have to plan my trip a little bit better, right? Like I have to, I have to make sure that I'm taking care of my character, sleeping, eating, drinking, whatever, or whatever. And I like that. I know not everybody wants to do that, but I've always liked it. I don't like every game that way. Like I wouldn't want Cyberpunk that way, for example. But these kind of games where it kind of feels more like you're playing the life of your character. Yeah. It feels wrong to not have that in them. Like Kingdom Come has it, although it's pretty like lenient in Kingdom Come. It can get pretty nasty. Like you can actually starve to death if you don't eat, but you have to go a long time without eating for that to happen. But yeah, so I'm really digging how I'm playing it. And then now this is an older update. This wasn't a new one. They had added the ability maybe 2 or 3 updates ago to kind of adjust a bunch of different things on a slider scale. How much damage you do, enemies do, blah, 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 blah. And I actually have it to a point where I really like the way that it plays now. It doesn't play like a typical Bethesda game where you're just you're almost invincible, but the enemy's a bullet sponge. Like I set the damage that I take up to, I think extreme is the highest. I set it to like very hard, so I do take a lot of damage, but I kept my damage output on like normal or maybe even easy, so I'm doing a lot. So it's more of a, it plays more like a regular shooter almost, because I actually always thought that Starfield had pretty decent mechanics. I actually thought the shooting felt surprisingly good considering it's a Bethesda game.
And well, didn't they bring in other teams to help with their shooting?
No, that was Fallout. But Starfield, they actually, before it came out, I remember, I want to say it was Todd, it might have been one of their guys, basically said like they took what they learned from id with Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was pretty competent too, to be fair. It was about the only thing about that game that I thought was competent, but it was competent. They took what they learned from that and didn't need id this time because they kind of knew what they were doing now. And I actually thought they succeeded. I actually think that the shooting in Starfield feels pretty good. And I actually have always thought that the ship combat, basic as it is, actually felt pretty good as well. So I've always said that gameplay-wise, I think it's objectively the best game Bethesda's ever made. You may not like it in terms of the story and setting and all that other stuff. That's fine. But gameplay-wise, I don't even think it's close. I think it mechanically, gameplay. You know, I think it blows the other ones all out of the water.
I got to say that was what was interesting. I remember when I played it that a lot of the things that normally Bethesda's not very good at, it excelled at. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of the Bethesda magic that I was used to is what was missing kind of in it.
I guess
to a certain degree.
Yeah,
it wasn't there, but not quite there the same way.
Yeah. See, I kind of respect what they did with it because and I mean, this might just be coping. I don't know. But they did go more what like this place exploring uncharted planets would actually be like. So, and again, I'm not saying people that have issue with that are wrong. It's just, it doesn't bother me because I don't expect to land on Uncharted Planet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there be like a perfect civilization on it, right?
No,
and stuff like that.
But
so
you couldn't really. My biggest thing with it was like, let's say I that random planet that I landed on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with being expanses of emptiness, but it was really difficult to actually traverse without getting in your ship all the way across the planet. I felt like.
Well, I mean, I don't know the last time you played it, but that has been addressed somewhat. Because you get vehicles now. Yeah,
right. But it was very early, very like close to launch. And don't get me wrong, I still liked it because you still had the emergent events, like a random spaceship would land, and all of a sudden, I don't remember why they were landing, but all of a sudden I'm taking over the ship, I'm killing everybody, and then I'm taking off in it.
And actually, on that same general idea. While I have not seen them yet myself, because again, I'm still pretty new into this new game that I'm running. I did see a lot of people like on Twitter was saying actually they were surprised how many new points of interest they added in this update, and actually that most of them were actually pretty good. So that was good. They are to an extent listening. It's maybe taking a little longer to address some of the criticisms than it should. I mean, you figure it's been a year and a half since Shattered Space came out, and there was only I think there was only one major update between there, right? No, there might not have even been one. Shattered Space might have actually been the last major update prior to Free Range, whatever it's called. But either way, very long-winded way of saying I'm having fun. It's kind of got my space explorer, fix going right now, and I'm enjoying that. I'm not playing it expecting Mass Effect where I'm going to every location and something happening, right? Like I'm just kind of wandering it's not really the Milky Way, but parts of the Milky Way, the settled systems, I guess is what they call it, and just kind of like seeing what I see, and just I mean, you me and Clint have talked in our chat a little bit. I'm kind of into astronomy and stuff like that, so even if it's total nonsense and bullshit, it's cool to kind of land on the different moons and stuff like that in the solar system and just kind of see what they envision them looking like, even though I know that's not what they would look like at all, but so yeah, I'm kind of digging it.
Kind of reminds me of, like, that's the type of stuff I used to do with Elite Dangerous, just like go see how far I could make it from one side of the it's impossible to go from one end to the
It's
map.
literally the size. It's literally the size of the solar system. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
Or
4 hours, 5 hours.
It's the
And
size of the
most of it's
galaxy.
just
Actually.
cruising.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And just kind of checking everything out. So I totally know what you mean there. It was a good time. Definitely need to jump in and check it out with all the updates and everything.
Yeah. Actually, another one, and I bought this before. I didn't mention it, and this is very much a me thing. This is not something that would be for everybody. I bought this one a while ago. I had bought one that makes it that the oxygen system in it, I told you about this, does not work the way that, because I didn't like the way that they made it work in the default game, where it was more or less just your stamina bar. The one that I bought, it doesn't deplete nearly as quickly as it does in the base game. However, when you are out on a planet or whatever that does not have breathable atmosphere, it does not recharge. So and I like that. It actually makes it, you kind of got to do things with a sense of urgency, but you also got to be smart. You can't just boost pack everywhere, because that still does deplete it. And what's kind of cool is if you don't want to, you want to avoid getting into combat, because when you do, if you get hit, it can puncture your suit, and then you lose like a pretty good chunk of it. It doesn't. Well,
oh wow.
Yeah, so it was actually pretty well thought out. Like whoever created the mod, they added a sound where you hear this like, and then you hear like the suit kind of patch itself, but you lost some oxygen from it, which I thought was really cool actually. So it just kind of adds to this whole like
hyper realism.
It's not hyper realistic by any means,
well,
but
you know what I mean.
Yeah. It adds more to the space explorer fantasy for me. But again, these were not free. These ones, there are free versions on PC, I'm sure, but I did buy the paid ones. In some cases, I have some free ones as well. But yeah, I'm having a jolly old time doing it. And I'm glad to be back, because I've always liked Starfield. I just decided when the rumor had come out about the it wasn't titled at the time, but the Free Lanes update, I was like, I'm gonna hold off on playing it again until then. And it ended up being way longer before it came out from what I thought. I thought it was gonna be like, I had thought it was gonna be last year sometime. It ended up being April of this year. But by that point at the end of last year, it was so obvious that this update was real. It's like, well, I've waited this long, I might as well keep waiting, you know?
Right. No, I get that. It's one of those games where it just seems like there's always an update on the horizon, and like kind of like, do I jump in now or do I wait for the next one? And Clint and I were both talking about that.
Wasn't it in, I think it was in early January, something like that, is when Bethesda did. They didn't say what it was, but again, it had leaked out what it was by this point anyway. But they did give like a teaser that they had their next DLC announcement coming, as well as the next major update. And that was when they had announced that it was called Terran Armada, which now nobody knew what that was at the time, because all the people that got the playtest did not get to play that at that point. I see Clutch said he loved his first playthrough. I mean, I haven't finished it because I never pushed through the story. I just kind of wandered around and kind of did my thing. But
I've heard how it ends and like how they handle New Game Plus and stuff like that. Which is just the nature of how these things go.
I know bits and pieces of how the New Game Plus works and how it ties into the actual story of it, but I don't know all the details.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how they did that, handled it. I feel like so.
And so, what about you, man? Is there anything else you've been playing you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Samson. I'm sure people have been kind of throwing out there. I decided to give it a shot. It's $25. I think actually I got it for $20 on Green Man, so I didn't feel like it was too much. You know, I jumped in it. It's interesting. You know, it's a very interesting game. I feel like people would have been a lot easier on it if it was more hand drawn or cell shaded, because then people were like, "Oh, it's an indie game." You know, more they would. I feel like the been way more.
It being UE5 probably did a disadvantage to it.
Oh, you had, because you walk into it and you think, "Oh, this is like really good," and then you're like, "They're cutting a lot of corners," and the UA is doing the heavy lifting for you, which is fine. If you go into it the expectation you play, it's very, very intriguing. They try some really unique ideas. Like for example, the whole structure is you go on a job, it goes bad. You end up in jail. Your sister gets in bed with some people. She owes them a lot of money. So you're out of jail now and you need to pay off her debt, right? So every day when you're doing stuff, you're taking jobs to earn money. And at the end of the day, you owe so much money. towards that debt, right? The way it works is there's essentially like an energy bar. You have a what they call afternoon, evening, and night. There's three sets, and you can only do so many activities within that period before it automatically completes. So essentially, you can. I think as of right now, I don't know. They tease like you can maybe do a couple more activities, but you can only do essentially one job in each section. So you got to make enough money to pay it back. Where it gets really interesting is that like there's consequences. Like for example, when you're driving your vehicle, you have some things where you have to take people out, like you have to chase people down and wreck their vehicles. The vehicle controls aren't amazing, but you got to figure. I mean, half the vehicles you're going after are like old Buicks. Like this is like a B grade action movie through and through.
All right.
So when you're doing damage to these vehicles, if you're not hitting them right, you're actually doing damage to your vehicle. You have your boost. You use that up. Guess what? You got to fix your car. You got to refill your nitrous. That takes out money from the money that you're going to use to pay back at the end of the day. If you don't pay back at the end of the day, next morning when you go to leave your house, there's debt collectors ready to start beating you up and possibly kill you. You never know. Mm-hmm. And then also, again, when you're looking at these different missions, they're different types. You got to figure out like this one's worth 900, but I'm using my car. Am I going to use 200 of my cash to repair my vehicle if I do it right? Hopefully. This one only pays 500, but it's I just got to beat up some guys, and there's a lot of interesting decisions you have to make, and you essentially the day's over with, and the decision you made are what you made, and you have to live with it from there, and it just continues on. The combat is, I would say, passable.
It looks really very basic from what I was watching.
It is, and honestly, I don't see they give you a lot of different things to use, but it's the light attack kind of seems to be the way to go. They call it a parry, but it's more like you kind of push people off, kind of push them a little bit before they actually strike you to kind of stop the strike. So it's a little basic, but again, I really wish this wasn't a UE5 game because I would love to play this in like a handheld mode, if that makes any sense. Because it's not bad. It's a good little time waster. The story's not amazing. It's very straight to DVD type action movie. It's more of like your crime heist drama, almost very Bostonian. Like I would almost imagine that you have Matt Damon somewhere in there with his bad Boston accent and like the dialogue. So there's that. But I think for $20, it's really not bad. I like it. Even faults and all. I can see why I got the score it did though, but I don't know. It's a very intriguing game. Again, only an hour in. There's a whole skill tree that goes with it. You get XP from defeating people, completing missions, and then also for some odd reason, knocking over billboards. But it definitely, I would say, especially with Steam with a 2-hour return policy, if you got the extra cash laying around, try it out and refund it if you don't like it. You'll know pretty early on what the game's going to be about from there.
Yeah, I had considered checking it out, but I saw it yesterday. I think it was the CEO or director or whatever of the studio basically said like, yeah, it's pretty unacceptable that we launched it with some of the issues that it has, like specifically referring to game breaking bugs and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to wait.
I'm knocking on the whatever.
You're probably too early to have run into many of them yet. So.
Yes, I haven't run into anything yet. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But I don't know. It just was an interesting story. You go in to read the interviews, like they even said like it was going to come in kind of hot. They knew what it was. They were trying to get $54 million to keep their studio going. That's what they were looking for with their publisher. But they had 5 different publisher meetings. Nobody would take them on. So they had to lay off like half their studio because they couldn't afford to keep them on anymore. They cut out a large portion of the game, and just like it was one of those situations where you put a game out or do you just shutter and all these people's work just disappears. So they're trying. And they're also, as I think what was an interesting thing is he said, yeah, we're going to come in a little hot, but the deadline is what it is, and we're not going to crunch. And I thought that was kind of cool too. It is not that we should be rewarding it, but also I kind of appreciated that at least it was putting it out there that, hey, we know this is what it is. And, that's why I'm getting a little more leeway. They were honest with, they kind of knew where it was going to be at when they were coming in with it. Should I be? I don't know. I kind of am. But that was one I checked out. Another one I jumped into that on a much better note is Morbid Metal.
So you playing that
launched
yesterday?
in early access, and oh my gosh, is this game so much fun.
I guess Ubisoft published this. I didn't even know that. I thought I saw something about that.
Yeah. Think of it like it's like Returnal almost, only you have melee combat. You jump in, it's roguelike, go from arena to arena, you got to defeat your enemies, but it also has like a Devil May Cry type ranking system, judging upon like your variety of your combat. Eventually, I've unlocked a second character, which you switch to on the fly, and they each have their own abilities with their own cooldowns, so you can like chain everything together, and you can like swap them out mid combo, and you can do a whole bunch of juggling. After you complete the arena room that you're in, sometimes you'll find different pickups that change out your abilities. Sometimes they change out your stats, very similar to like a Hades like and stuff like that. But it plays very smooth, very, very kinetic, very fast. I've really enjoyed it. It's only like $13 right now, $15.
Sounds right. I think it was like $13.49 or something like that.
Yeah, for early access. Absolutely. Right. That's the one that I've been probably playing the most, and I didn't intend to. I just wanted to jump in and get a couple of runs, and then it turned into there goes an hour and a half. Where'd the time go?
Let's see.
And then the last one that I checked out this week, and that was the least amount that I played so far, is People of Note. I jumped into. Just seemed interesting. It was sold to me as kind of like a Final Fantasy more rhythm-based game. I will say it's definitely more Final Fantasy than rhythm. The rhythm, like the whole music-based aspect of it, is kind of superficial. It's very much more like the typical timing-based attacks that kind of fall on the rhythm. Maybe I'm only like 45 minutes in. They sell it as like it being, I mean, the whole story is like you're supposed to be, you're trying to get into what is like the game's equivalent of American Idol, and you get kicked off because you're not good enough. It's because the manager who is being your judge, he's the manager of like this top K-pop boy band that doesn't want any competition. So now you got to go find other judges and get the golden note to try and get back onto like the final round or whatever. It's interesting. Art style is pretty interesting. It's like the whole cartoon animation behind it. The music's not bad. I don't mind it. It's been kind of a little fun game to just kind of pop in every once in a while. Still really, really early in on that one.
Yeah.
I thought it was on Game Pass, but apparently it's not.
I think it's early access still too, isn't it?
Full release, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I thought that was early access.
Let me see. Load up right now.
I'm looking. Hold on. Oh no, it is not people. Not people. It is not early access. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a full release.
Okay.
It's interesting though. Like I said, I'm still early on. I know you're supposed to unlock more bandmates, and I still only have the main character. But like I said, I don't know. Different, something different than what I've been playing. I kind of been in this weird kick where I'm like looking at like that $10 to $20 games that have been coming out. Like there just seem to be a ton of them this week, and I'm just like, oh, let's try it. It's low investment. And I've just been kind of like popping around all over.
This was an interesting week. A lot of releases. Not typically not large releases, but a lot of small releases and a lot of big updates and stuff like that. Assassin's Creed had its update. Obviously, Starfield had its update. I'm forgetting something. Something else pretty big had an update this week too, I think. So yeah, it's actually been kind of tough to fit a lot of these things in if you play a lot of them. But well, the one other thing I've been playing, and I know you've been playing a little bit, although I think I've played a little bit more, is I've still been playing some Crimson Desert. We're now on patch 4, 3, 4, something like that. I don't remember.
Busting those patches out quick.
Yeah, they didn't have one this week though, but they had the the developer update or whatever to highlight what they plan to add through April, May, and into June. I don't know if it's by the end of June or just by June. I'm still liking it. I'm not overly sold on the combat. It's such a weird dichotomy of just steamrolling the regular enemies, and then the bosses. It turns into fucking Dark Souls.
Right.
It's the weirdest thing. But I don't know. The combat wise, there's just something not quite there for me. Like it's really well animated. Like some of his like finishing moves like that look really good, but I don't know. I've never liked Musou games, which this isn't really that, but it kind of is partway there, right? I just never liked just mowing down hordes of enemies that kill you based on numbers, not on quality, if you will. But the world itself is undeniably probably one of the best ever made, actually, in an open world. It's not really an RPG, but in an open world like adventure game, if you will. And the number of systems is genuinely pretty remarkable. It's both to the game's advantage and its detriment because some of them are not as well fleshed out as others. But like I mentioned that where I am now, and I'm sorry, my dog's going crazy. I can hear him. I've upgraded my base camp enough that I am now in the process of building a wagon. I started it last night, and then I ended up quitting for the night, and I haven't played it yet today, so that's why it hasn't been finished yet. But basically, when that's done, now I can start running, like, I don't know what you call them, like tradesman missions or whatever. Now that my understand, sorry, go ahead.
There's certain goods that you unlock that you can only sell by like doing trade goods by packing them up, isn't it?
I think technically you can still sell them otherwise, but you really can't transport very many of them. Whereas the idea here is you can transport large quantities of them. But yeah, this is where like the larger game economy really comes into play, because now you're talking about buying low in one place, selling high in another, and then instead of increasing the numbers of the base camp in small amounts. Now we're talking about making huge shipments to greatly increase your armor or whatever they call it, equipment, I guess, or greatly increase the amount of ore that you guys have, stuff like that, which then leads to where you can. What's up, Luke? This then leads to where you can now start to. Okay, so actually, prior to this point, basically to get to this point, you have to liberate a quarry. Because then you kill the boss, which Soken actually had done. And I will say, doing that made me go like, man, I don't know if I like this game anymore, because this sucks ass. Not the boss. The boss was kind of lame, but the just killing just an unending number of enemies was obnoxious. However, I believe once we get to this point where I can start having like a decent number of supplies across the camp, whether the camp money, the camp equipment, whatever. I think now, as opposed to having to liberate these myself, I can send X number of Greymanes to the thing to do it for me, which I like. I'm like, that's actually cool. And based on certain things that I've seen, I imagine if I were to do that, I can probably go with them and take part in it at the same time. Yes, I did too, soak in it, because those barrels, they said they made them more visible. They must have been invisible before, because I could not see those damn explosive barrels. They're not like red. They look the same as every other barrel, but they had like this white X on them. So if you're not looking directly at it, you don't notice it's different. Plus, the whole idea of it is to try to, shoot it with an arrow or whatever to kill a bunch of it. When you are in combat, it is kind of unwieldy to try to like manually aim at, say, the barrel, because it wants to obviously auto aim at the enemies. So you have to start aiming, then you have to click to go into precision aim. All the while, you've got 10 enemies who do very little damage, but nevertheless they come and attack you. As well as getting in front of you. So it's a bitch to do that. But
no, how much have you invested in your combat? Because I've seen some crazy stuff.
Pretty good
in the shorts department, but.
To be honest, if you look at the skill tree, it's not the biggest skill tree. I know that there's a whole lot of what are they called, abyss artifacts or whatever that you can use, but a lot of those actually go into increasing your health, stamina, and whatever the spirit or whatever the other one's called, as well as then you have to use them for how's her name, Dominate or whatever. And whenever you get him Unka, you use the things for all of them. But there's not like a ton of different unlockable skills or whatever. At least not that I've seen. I don't think the skill tree grows. I saw Fighting Cowboy was showing it, and I mean he's a very late game, and I didn't see anything extra on there than what I can see.
Because I saw a thing where somebody was like doing this crazy thing to where all of a sudden they froze the enemies around them. They were doing like they were doing like unarmed combat, but all of a sudden they were freezing enemies, and then it switched to lightning fists, and they jumped up, and then like a power slam, and it like shot lightning everywhere. And
my guess is that's probably, I forget what they're called, but they're these little like things that you socket into weapons. They probably had some kind of ranged or melee weapon, maybe like the drill arm or something like that. Because no, I guess you probably could have gauntlets that have, I forget what those things are called, but so that's probably what you were seeing. Okay. I'm not saying the combat's basic. It's not. It's just
right.
Like there's a whole lot to it. However, there's not like a ton of different moves because it's all done with the same couple combinations. It's more the way that you combine them to do different things is what kind of like then creates, opens all the stuff. But I'm not really trying to criticize the combat in general. I'm just trying to criticize clearing out this quarry. It was annoying because you were literally fighting, looking at 500 enemies maybe to clear it out. Because basically when you go to it, have you been near that quarry yet? Or it's called like Karen Quarry or something like that?
I might have been around. I feel like I was near a quarry at one point in time, and
that's probably it then. Yeah, because it's in Hernando. It's pretty close to the castle.
I had to get like I had a bounty that I collected somewhere nearby it. I feel like
I think there's one right by there. I think I did it. What you'll notice when you're killing regular enemies, there's like a percentage bar, and every time you kill an enemy, it knocks off a percentage. Which in this case, it knocks off like 0.01%. You have to get that percentage all the way down. Now, there's certain ways to do it quicker than just killing an enemy. Like you destroy the barracks, for example, and it knocks a decent chunk, but you still have to kill a lot of them. And this did turn into a straight-up Musou game because you were just mowing down a ton of enemies. And I'm like, okay, this was really badly designed. And your reward for all that then is you fight the, whatever it was called, like the Excavatron or something like Excavatron, which was frankly a pretty terrible boss fight. But you do want to do it because that then allows you to progress your Greymane quest and to get to the point where now I can start doing kind of the cool stuff. Now I can... Like, for example, certain things have popped up where did you see people were posting this on Twitter last week? People kind of their minds were blown because they were sending their camp people to do construction things, like for example, building a statue of a wolf or something like that. And they had noticed that if you go down to the time lapse, you can see it actually is changing. And did you see when they posted? Okay, yeah. So I have them working on that statue as we speak, and I had done one just before that. Now, while that is very cool, and I do appreciate the attention to detail, I think people do need to kind of like rein it in a little bit. Like it's not like you're watching them literally build a statue. It just goes through like 4 or 5 phases of being just a block of nothing to a block that's shaped like a sausage to then being a little more shaped like a wolf to that, you know what I mean? Like you're not actually watching them chisel it out, which would be insane and completely unnecessary, but pretty impressive. Like I also had them rebuild the one guy's house. Remember the guy that had he's right south of the castle. I think it was an abyss fragment or whatever fell onto his house and destroyed it. One of the very first ones is having them rebuild it. And I actually, since it didn't take super long, I actually sat there and watched, and you would see it goes like 3 phases. Like it started with nothing, then there was just blank walls, then it was like interior walls, then it had like the roof, but the roof wasn't closed in. And I was like, okay. Nevertheless, I respect they didn't just make it like there's a big box there and then it just suddenly disappears and it's built. Like that still was a good attention to detail. But I do think people need to kind of rein it in a little bit.
I'm just going to say there's a certain degree, though, to their systems that they could cheat and kind of get just not even bother with it. The fact that they put it in is kind of cool. You have to get respect there.
No, I do.
There's a lot of different areas where they do that they could cheat.
I'm more referring to the fact that even as somebody who does like this game a lot,
yeah,
people
are glazing a little bit too hard.
It has been since Elden Ring. Even more so than Expedition 33, that I have seen people just go to bat for this to the point of insanity, right? Like,
well,
I like the game a lot,
but game
like,
it is though.
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
like-
No, it's not. It's because for some reason, like people pick their, and that wasn't meant to be a dig at Expedition 33. I'm just referring to the discussion around Expedition 33 last year, or was it last year? Yeah, last year. Yeah. People will tend to pick these specific either targets if they want to bash it. See Marathon, see Assassin's Creed Shadows, whatever, right? Or on the contrary, they will find their Elden Ring or Crimson Desert, where God forbid somebody says something negative about it. Like, I know it's cool to hate on IGN, and to be fair, IGN in some ways deserves it at times. Have you seen the way that people are acting about Travis saying, like, hey, this game is different enough already, I probably should re-review it? They are going on and on that he got owned because people liked the game and he didn't. And he's like, no, it's because it's not the same game as what I reviewed.
Right. Yeah,
and like,
but internet doesn't have a good opinion
for some stupid ass reason.
Nuance.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely true too. For some stupid reason, people have like decided this was the game they were going to die on that hill. That everybody that doesn't like it is wrong.
The game. This is what the game has going for it, though. It's a lot of small things that lends itself to. It's these systems, right? And it's how they interact with the world. And they're in the minutia to where sometimes it takes it's not to like we're what, like almost a month on from the game release, 3 weeks on,
4 weeks exactly.
Okay, so we're a month on. So some of these systems and how they interact are not being discovered.
Not for 3 weeks. I'm sorry.
Okay, but we're just now getting to the point where people are now starting to see how some of these interact. And now all of a sudden it's a new short, and now the short's like, you see what Crimson Desert did. Like I saw the other day, there's the where you do the whole little hand things and you kind of like ready yourself and charge up for like your little palm fist thing. Yeah, and you know how like it could just cheat and it could be all animation, but it actually sucks up like leaves and grass, and that's what's going around your hands. And the only reason why I know it's actually doing something with some type of mechanic with the physics, because it showed where somebody shot like a fireball or a flaming arrow at them and it got sucked up into it and it started going around. So when they
that's one of that's one of the upgrades for it. Is it actually lets you read it? Yeah, I guess it's technically two of the upgrades. One of the upgrades, it's when you're talking about when you're doing the focus, like recharge your spirit or whatever, right? Yeah, the first upgrade, it almost turns into a like a shield, if you will. And the second upgrade, it turns that shield to where you can then repel them back. Okay. I know this because Cowboy actually was like, everybody needs to get this ability. Nobody wants it, but everybody. I don't want it at all. But he was showing how it worked, and so that's how I know exactly what you're talking about.
And don't get me wrong, like me personally, I love it. I love all these systems. I love how the virality, and I love that people are getting really, really big into this game. But I still personally feel it is a 7 out of 10 game. It has not changed in my opinion.
I'm much closer to I'm minimum of an 8, probably somewhere around an 8.5, but I don't think it'll ever get much higher than that because the story is pretty ass. I mean, that's I haven't played enough to really judge the story, but I haven't heard a single person that thought it was a good story. So I'm inclined to believe that is probably correct. It is clunky as all hell. It doesn't bother. I was talking about the Discord earlier. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some people. But some of it, like putting the what do we call it, the shooting arm on left trigger or left stick was terrible. there had to be a better control mapping than that, and just weird little issues like that. But the overall package, I like. It's kind of one of those. It doesn't really do anything aside from the world itself all that splendidly, but it does do most things at least adequately, and it does a lot of things. So it's kind of one of those like jack of every trade, but really not a master of any of them, right? But nevertheless, like I'm not trying to sound overly critical because I do really like it. I mean, I don't know if you notice, you're
playing it every night, and you're like, you are. I
play it more than anybody I have seen. I am playing it more than them.
Maybe Silking it, but that's only because he was in.
You're right. He only got a half a day, and if even that, the day it came out, but. And now he obviously played a good bit the last couple of days since he's been back. but yeah, I've played a lot of it. I play it damn near every day.
My
And
biggest
I really
complaint
like
with that
it.
game is when you talk about these large combat arenas, right? And you have a lot of enemies. You know what would be perfect? If you could actually chain your fucking moves together, because they give you a decent amount of different
Some of them you
options to
can.
use.
Some of them you
You
can. You just need
technically you
upgrades to
can.
do it.
No, I mean you technically can. It's just the controls are so contextualized and
Yeah.
obtuse that you try to go from one move to the next to the next. You're like, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Why am I? Oh, what's going on here? That's not what I pressed.
The
And that's where it really loses
the
for
game
me.
in general is unintuitive as all hell.
Yes.
There are a lot of times you won't do what you want it to do because there's too many things mapped to one button, and it all has to do with, like you said, contextualizing your distance versus how long you held the button, all that stuff.
Yep.
And also, another thing about the thing is the game does not explain how to do. And I'm not talking about hand holding you through everything. I'm talking you buy an ability or whatever, and it maybe does something specific or whatever. It doesn't do the greatest job actually explaining you how to do that move. Like a perfect example is you get the flying knee or whatever. You get that when you fight that Matthias guy.
Yep.
I guess you can buy it, but in reality you shouldn't because you get it early enough anyway. Or you can get the running drop kick, I think is the other one.
Well, if you pay for it or you use your abilities for it, you get refunded when you learn it.
I don't think
When
so.
you see some, it has because
Really?
I got the drop kick. I bought it, and then I saw it later on because I saw a short of where I could go and see it. Because I saw someone else doing it, I learned it that way, and they refunded the skill point back to me.
I actually didn't know that. Okay, I thought I heard specifically that it did not. So you kind of wanted to think a little bit more before you used them. I did not know it refunded them. But yeah, and I don't even know where it is. Before the game came out, there was all the talk about how convoluted the controls would be. Somebody, I think it was Clint actually, had posted an image of like the combos. I have no idea where that's from because I didn't see that anywhere in the game. Maybe it is somewhere and I just didn't see it. I did not see that anywhere in the game. So I don't know where the hell that came from. But that was certainly complicated. It was this kind of attack with this kind of movement, then into shooting your bow, this combo. I was like, what the bloody hell is this? But
Right.
And it very well might be real combos that maybe somebody made a list. I don't know where that list came from though, because I have not seen it. But nevertheless, I mean, the game is, if you really break it down, it is basically like the closest thing that anybody has made to another Breath of the Wild. It doesn't have as good of a interactive world as Breath of the Wild, but it has an actual game, which Breath of the Wild is sorely missing, right? There we go. I'm going to throw out some Breath of the Wild hate here. Now, I'm not saying it's better than Breath of the Wild before all the people get out their pitchforks and pitchforks and torches. It is better, but I'm not saying that. But
same.
I
like Breath of the Wild, but
I forced my way through Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, I just do not get why everyone thinks this game is so great. But that's a story for another day. It does have, whether great or not, it does have an actual story to play through, which Breath of the Wild very much does not, right? But it doesn't have nearly as good of a
That's debatable.
What?
But they both don't really have much of a story.
No, I'm not talking about the story. I'm talking about it has missions to do.
Okay, yeah.
So if I said story, I more meant a campaign, like a main story to play through. Yeah, the story itself is awful. That's not what I meant. And yes, you're right, Clutch. That's exactly what it is. But I digress. However, Breath of the Wild, in its defense, does do better with the way the fire spreads and water then puts out the fire and all that kind of crap, right? That actually was all pretty interesting, and it's there in this game, but very basic compared to how how well it all works together in Zelda. But I will say, I mean, I said it before, I basically am just now about to leave Hernand.
First area?
Yeah, and I'm like,
yeah,
damn, this really does, not so much time-wise, that's not what I'm referring to, but I'm like, Hernand by itself could be a map. It could be the game map. It is that big. And it's it's one of 7, I think, regions, 7, maybe 8, I can't remember.
Wow.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that, Luke, but okay. Yeah, because you got Hernan, you get Demonis, Delicia, the Crimson Desert, Pyloon. I think there's one other one too. So yeah, like there are a ton of regions in this, and they're pretty big. Now I have been in one other one because I jumped off of the abyss into another area, but I got steamrolled pretty fast, so I got my ass out of there. But yeah, no, nevertheless though, I am really enjoying it so far. It definitely has some areas where I'd like to see improvement that I don't think they're going to be able to improve because it's just not how the game's designed. But it is what it is. What's your thoughts on it after however many hours you put into it at this point?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm at this weird spot where it's just it speaks to it. Like I don't know how. I'm trying to do a mission, or am I trying to? Maybe I'm trying to find a bounty, right? And I got to a certain point to now. It doesn't. It's like I'm stuck against a mountain, and then a forest, and I can't get through the forest because every time I do, these little guys come through and they hit you with the dart, they put you to sleep, they put you back at the edge of the forest. And I unlock this other mission that I'm supposed to go talk to people to be able to make it through the forest, but they're on the opposite side, and I can't get through where I need to. Like it's where the forest with like the floating lanterns. Have you discovered this at all?
I've seen a couple of lanterns. I don't know if that's what you're referring to or not.
When you go in there, there's like little, I don't know, they're not elves. I don't even know. They're like
goblins.
No, they're like little children, essentially like little masks on, and they essentially they knock you out. They just come out of nowhere. They're in a tree. Like you like, oh, I'm in the clear. I'm gonna be able to run through, and all of a sudden, they come out of the tree. They just knock you out. They put you to sleep. They drag you right back to the beginning again, which is crazy. So I don't know. I gotta go all the way back around. I don't know where I'm at. So I've been I need to get into it. It's one of those games though. If you don't have time to put like an hour to 2 hours,
it's not something to play for like 20 minutes because you won't be able to do anything in it.
Especially when you're like, I'm stuck where I'm at right now, and it's going to take a bit of time to get around it. So I haven't played it a bit. I want to say it's been about a week and a half since I really jumped into it. I'm still at that 7 out of 10.
Sure.
Best 7 out of 10 I've ever played my entire life, but 7 out of 10.
Another thing about it, now this is not pertaining to you per se, because what you've already said, but I think, I'm trying to kind of describe this, how much enjoyment you will get out of Crimson Desert is down to 2 things. Well, we'll say 3 things. Number 1, what you think you're getting out of it, because reality, what you think you're getting out of it is probably not what it actually is, unless you followed it closely. Number 2 is how much do you like the way that different systems interact? Because that is what this game is. That is what this game is. If you, like me, like this system affects this system, which affects this system, which then affects the original system, this game is that in spades. And that is probably why I like it so much, because it's part of why I like Kingdom Come so much, is you had all these different systems that interacted in some way, shape, or form, right? And I don't remember what the third one was going to be. I had something else in my mind. I don't remember what it was now, though. But yes, if that's kind of what you like, and it's something that I love personally, you probably will enjoy this. But if you want Skyrim, this isn't Skyrim. It's nothing like Skyrim outside of wandering around freely.
This has like way more sensibility towards like me personally, for people with like ADHD, like to where you're just like, oh, squirrel, what's this? Here's a new system to play with. Here's a new. I'm randomly. I would be in the middle of trying to do something for one thing, and I would find something else, and now I'm like over here, and now I'm over here, and now I don't remember what I came over here for, but I'm still having the best time of my life because there's like 7 new things that I found to interact with that I didn't know I could do before. Next thing you know, I'm stealing animals to get into the pugilist ring, and then I get the pugilist.
That kind of plays. That kind of plays in what I was just saying too, where like every little thing that you do in some way, shape, or form is a system in the game. Like I got to the point, I'm just, if I ever see catch with question marks, I grab it just so that I put it in my encyclopedia or whatever they call it. But like actually another thing is, this is not about the main story in particular. I do like the way that the various different like faction quests or whatever are set up, Because at first I'm like, man, I thought they said this game. I mean, I know the game is huge, but I was like, man, I thought they said this game was long. Like the story is decent. Like I'm not saying it's short, but it's like, I'm already on probably almost at the end of chapter 4. I think there's only 12. But then I'm like, oh no, it's not the main story that's long. It's all the other ones because there are so many different quest like strings and lines for every different group in every different region. Obviously, you have to play the main quest to kind of unlock some of them. But if you were to take the main quest out of the equation, you would still be looking at probably 150 hours just to do those. That is how many of them there are. Like, when I really noticed how many were unlocking under Hernand as I was progressing the main quest and progressing in some ways, the Gray Main camp quest, but not all of that. I can't remember exactly what was doing, but I started to see all this different shit unlocked, and as I was going, I'm like, man, there is a lot here. Like, you don't realize how much it is until you are in the game doing it and you are progressing through something, and then you're seeing all this other shit popping up elsewhere. Like, there is so much to do.
Absolutely. Yeah,
well,
Silken It is like a good idea.
Yeah, I have to agree with Silken It. One advice on Cruise: do not start it and go through the tutorial and then take a 2-week vacation or spend a decent amount of time on Google to remember how to do some of the basic stuff. That's not a joke. He's right because he, like I said, he played it for Silken It, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours before he left for Japan, and like I have no doubt when he got back, he probably completely forgot how to play the game as well. Forgot what he was doing, forgot where he was going, all this other stuff. Another thing that I'll add onto this, and I know this flies directly in the face of what everybody wants to do when they play games like this, you do want to push through the main quest at least to a point. I would say if once you complete chapter 4, as well as doing some of your Gray Main camp quests, at that point now you've probably unlocked enough of the systems and stuff like that. Now you can start wandering off and doing whatever you want to do. But if I remember, you remember I told you IGN had said at least finish the first chapter, I think it was, because that's when you get like your.
Or no, it was first chapter.
Yeah, chapter. Yeah, after playing it, I totally disagree. Like, I think you need to push further than that before you start really wandering around. Like, technically, finishing the first chapter gives you the abilities to do what you want to do out there, but you're doing it for nothing. If you push through at least chapter 4, that's, again, when you start to unlock all this other stuff. Now everything that you do kind of feeds back into things. So that's what I would suggest. I would really suggest pushing the main quest to the end of chapter 4, the Gray Mains, until you kind of get locked out from being able to realistically do anything else. Then you can kind of wander around and do your thing, because now you've kind of got the whole world to do whatever you want to do with.
Yep. So, I need to get to that point still.
Yeah, well, it takes a while to get there. It's the main quest doesn't take long to get there, but the Gray Main stuff does start to take a while, especially if you start doing all the other stuff. And like, there seems to be just an unending number of bounties everywhere. Unless it's all the same ones, and I just kept ignoring the posters. I don't know, but there seemed to be an insane number of them. But yeah, so actually, Silken, almost anything that is a side quest usually gives extra inventory slots. So
also, every shop that you come across, you can
not every, but most of them do.
Yeah, they'll have at least one slot you can add.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always buy
50 copper.
Usually 50 copper. Yeah, it's 100% worth it doing that. Also, here's a tip, and I don't remember who it was whose video I saw this, but they're right. To make your inventory more manageable, group everything. I don't know if you've seen that when you go through it. So if you notice how you did the Twitch drops, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you notice how it puts that whole set under a single like column when you go to it?
Yeah.
That's because they're grouped. I think when you get something like that, it groups it automatically, and I don't think you can ungroup it. But basically, when you go through, highlight your apple, for example, it's in your inventory, and you press and hold, I think it's the left stick, and it'll group all your food items like that. Then you go to the next thing, whether it's like your tools, it'll group all the things like that. So now, instead of having 150 things you have to scroll through, now you've got a bunch of boxes of maybe like 30 of them. You go to them, select it, and then you go over to that drop menu. It makes it so much easier to find what you're looking for. Do that with everything. Group everything.
Okay. Make it easier.
Yeah, it's hard to describe if I can't show it to you, but when you do it, you'll be like, oh yeah, he's right. This makes everything way easier to manage now.
Yeah, especially with I don't know. You say you collect everything, so you probably
No, I did not say that. I did not say that. I said when I see question marks, I grab it. I'll usually just drop it immediately if I don't need it, but I grab it just to add it to the database.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting too. That the that short that Clint showed us, where somebody collected 100 bees and just dumped their whole entire inventory of bees inside of a tavern. That was kind of crazy. It just speaks to the systems that they have in play in there.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive and very unimpressive at the same time. It's kind of crazy how it is.
Yep, you love it and you hate it at the same time.
Yeah. But I won't say I haven't encountered anything that I've hated yet. I'm sure there'll be something, but I haven't done anything yet. But
frustrated.
Frustrated is correct. Yeah, there's definitely things that are frustrating. That Excavatron was just obnoxious to fight because the hit detection was so bad. But it was he wasn't overly difficult, but the hit detection was so bad. I could not wait to get done with that fight.
Jeez, something to look forward to then.
Yeah. So, we're about an hour and a quarter here. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about while we're on ye old air?
No. I think I went through all the games I've been checked out in the last 2 weeks or so.
Okay. Did you remember your cookie?
Come on, man. You know I keep right by the computer.
It's funny. Whenever Clint's not here, there's never any issues. Everybody's got their cookie.
Yep. No, hold up. Let me go grab mine.
Yeah. It's dark. I'm not going to read this.
All right.
Oh, look at that. I got a twofer.
You're lucky this week. Double fortune.
No, they're probably both like your PC will explode. You want to go first?
All right. Mine says you will make a name for yourself.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, basically.
All right, let's see. The light's a little too dark to read the damn thing. Wish upon the next star you see for luck the next day. Okay. And the coming month shall bring you much happiness. Well, God knows I need it. This has been a horrible fucking couple weeks. So.
Let's keep the lamp on.
Yeah, maybe I'll get a little bit brighter. Right there.
There you go.
Nick, where can people find you, my friend?
Break Conductor everywhere. All your socials. You got your Twitch, your YouTube, your TikTok, your Instagram, on Discord. Yeah. How about you, Rick?
Butch4969 on Discord, Twitch, PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, which I'm primarily on Steam now, man. I am full on Master Race now. I very rarely even touch my consoles anymore. I mean, for now, when Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 2 comes out, I'll probably obviously be on the PlayStation the whole time, but I really have not touched my PlayStation much at all recently. But yeah, so that's about it. Anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
No, just want to say everybody have a wonderful weekend and play some great games, All
right. And with that, thank you everybody for tuning in. I think Clint should be back with us next week. Depends on how things turn out for him. But otherwise, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.